We got a little bit of snow left on the ground in the shady spots only. The majority of it's gone. We're gonna start off by jumping in the shop. We had some washer issues yesterday, so we're gonna take a look at it, see if we can get it repaired back up and running. It's been a while since I've done any kind of appliance repair in here. We drug it in here last night. It had a pretty bad burning smell coming from it, and it stopped mid-cycle. It is an old school Frigidaire, but you can't beat these old washers. They don't make them like this no more. It'll run a full load in less than 30 minutes. Doesn't have all the new bells and whistles and that HE stuff. And it actually washes very, very good. So I want to try to get it back up and running and put it back in the house instead of swapping it out with a newer version. Plugged her in, put her on spin. Seems to be spinning. We'll hook it up to some water. I'm going to go ahead and take this front panel off and also see if I can get underneath the head unit. Finished out that spin cycle with no problems. I did pop off the head unit, took a look behind it. I don't see any burnt wires. Could use a bit of a cleanup. We're gonna hook some water lines up to it and see if it's a pump issue or might even be a child lock issue. Hooked up the water lines. We're gonna run it with no close. Make sure all the functions are working. I don't see anything under here that stands out that'll be causing the issue. We're about halfway through the cycle. And this thing is showing no signs of issues. I'm starting to second guess. Was it this old washer? Or maybe it's the outlet or breaker. Drained all the old water out. Pump's working, it's spinning. No burning smell. Somebody came to see what's going on. Washer works just fine, buddy. Nothing to worry about. We're gonna switch over to electrician mode. Grab the multimeter. Let's go check the outlet and breaker. Make sure that's not causing our issue. Took the covers off the outlets. Check this one and this one here. They're both connected to the washer breaker and both of them are running the right voltage. I don't see any burnt out wires. This thing did run through its cycle, but this child lock looks to have a couple loose pieces and corroded ends. So just because it was working this cycle doesn't mean it's good. I'll probably go ahead and swap it before we put it back together. So we got a bunch of old parts I used to save. And looky there. This is the part we need. Let me show y'all what's going on over here. Let's unplug it. You can see here, this one has a broken lever. It didn't let the door open. Some of the ends are corroded. This one bounces back. Works like it should. Let's get it installed. Can't beat these old washers. So screw this tight. Means this part never had to be changed. So I'm going to tighten on these ends. That way they're nice and snug. Swap the old child lock. I think that was causing our issue here because it did stop right before spin cycle and the lid didn't want to open. I had to kind of finagle it a bit to get it to run.
Squeaky bastard.
Start putting her back together and take her up to the house. We got some clothes to wash.
Ain't that right, love? You've been in spider webs, ain't you?
Put these back here. That wraps up the washer repair. I'm gonna go grab the side-by-side. We're gonna lug this thing back in the house, test it, and see if it works. Somebody's favorite part of the day. You ready? Yeah, I was gonna paint it, but it's cold out here. and it's really unnecessary.
What about that strap that goes over the front?
Get her back in place. Oh, I really open that.
Got this thing brought back in the house, piecing it all back together. And it should be ready to wash this huge load of clothes we've accumulated.
Making sure there's no leaks here. We got the hot and cold water hooked up. And I wanted to make sure it works before we slid it back in place. So let's get to it. Now that we got the washer back in the house, we've had this big old dumpster here for at least a week. It's a scrap dumpster. And now we're getting ready to start loading it while we got some daylight left. We got a couple things in here already.
One mower at a time, man. We've gotten this thing pretty full. Sooner or later, we'll shut this door and my dad will grab all the bigger stuff and just throw it over the top with the tractor.
Day's not over yet. We got a truck and trailer getting parked. We're gonna get him maneuvered and facing the exit. He'll be here for a couple days. And this is where she's gonna bed down for tonight.